Hello, YouTube, and welcome to Roblox. Today, we're going to be making some car suspension. I'm going to be explaining how to make car suspension. Maybe. This will probably make no sense, but that's okay. Alright, so you see, the front of this car is independent suspension. This one can move up and down, and this one can move up and down. And then this one back here is dependent suspension. So they move together. If this one goes up, this one kind of tilts. If this one goes down, that one kind of tilts. So yeah. Then there's like this part which turns and connects to the wheel. There's this part which pivots and connects to this part that turns, which connects to this part which goes up and down. So now to explain how to do all that. So over here we have the beginning of a chassis. Amazing chassis. Nothing on it. Let's just quickly come over here and grab a vehicle seat. Clone the vehicle seat, move the vehicle seat. Realize that the vehicle seat's currently inside of a model, so I'm gonna need to come up here, select that vehicle seat, move it out. And I think that also is, no, that might not be. That one is not. So then what we're gonna do is come over here, copy this, move this. Okay, I'm kidding. Alright, so now that is just sort of the center of the car. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make another part, so you can just sort of clone this, move it over one, and this is just sort of a little extender, skinny extender piece that goes out here and connects to the front A-arms, because those are both called A-arms. Those four pieces right there, those four pieces are A-arms. They move up and down and connect to the suspension. So we come back here, we have this in the center. Now we're going to want to copy this one more time if you want to make this exactly how I am. This way you can understand it and then make your own. And then this one right here will be, hang on, let's rename this. This one can just be part. And this one right here we can name A-arm attachment, I guess, because that's where the A-arm's attached to. Then we're going to need to make the actual A-arm, so let's come here, copy a part. Now you can make the A-arms any size. You can pretty much do any of this any size you want, because you just got to be careful out of a few certain things, and I'll explain those. And yeah, you can pretty much make them any size, because I don't know, it just sort of works. Certain sizes might work better, but you just gotta make it to how you want to use it. Come over here. Yeah, alright, I remember. Okay, so the back of this part needs to be, hang on, come up here, look for join surface only. Then we're going to need front surface, whichever surface is on this side, to be unjoinable. And this one needs to be any parts that are next to each other that are moving. They must be unjoinable on both sides. So that part has to be unjoinable right there. And that one has to be unjoinable. So now that will move with Roblox's constraints perfectly. It won't get snagged on anything. You gotta be careful with that. Now, copy the end part, rechange that to being joinable, or just hinge. No, not hinge. Whoops. Weld. Where'd I get hinge and welds mixed up in my arm? So this part's just sort of showing you how I build the chassis to my car. How I built the chassis to my car. This part you can all do differently. The main sort of tutorial aspect will come in with the constraints, because those are the tricky parts. So this is more of a constraint tutorial, just showing constraints through my cars, but, you know, whatever floats your boat. And come over here, weld once again. Alright, so now those A-arms are done. If you ever want to make sure that these really don't get snagged up, you can move them down here in the constraints later. We'll put them back into the right spot. But that's for later. We'll do that later. Okay. Let me build this A-arm. Essentially, I can just copy all the parts over. Alright, so those two A-arms are built. Now I'm going to make a suspension tower, which my suspension tower over here sucks. I'm just gonna put that out there. This one isn't good whatsoever. There's like a much better way I could have built it. So let's come over here, grab a part. Yeah, that's the part. Oh, maybe there isn't that. Yeah, I could have built it here at least. And where did I put my camber links? So this part right here is a camber link. That controls how much the wheels tilt inward and outward. Like if I'm looking at it like this way, this wheel, if I add more camber, like more length to the camber, let's set this to like 1 degree. It'll sort of do that, and if I set less, it'll do that. So that's what camber does. For instance, let's put that there. 1, 2, that's like 4, 5. 5 is normally like way too much camber. Camber's very touchy. Alright. Except considering the wheels are round. Yeah, the reason the wheels are round, I'll also get this out there now, is because Roblox's physics system likes round things. They just sort of work better. A lot better. Alright, before we get too far, let me make sure that all of this... Yeah, no, we don't want it to collide. Okay. Because if things start colliding, stuff doesn't want to move. That's the basics of building these things. Now, what we're going to need to do is I think I'm going to build... Yeah, let's get into some more. Oh wait, that's right. I was working on the I was working on the shock tower, which goes like that. Now we will add the shock attachment points up here, which, by the way, you can move these to suit your tastes of car. For instance, if you're making a monster truck, you'll want to make these a lot bigger because that'll give the car more suspension travel. Then move these out. Again, you can pick and choose their location. The further out they are, the stiffer the suspension will be. Like all the way out there, the suspension will be very, very stiff. Especially if you move it like that, then the suspension will be almost impossible to move. If you move these up more, it'll be a little easier, but still stiffer most likely than that, than if they were right here. I believe that's where I have them on this one. Yep, that's where I have them on there. And that's, I like the stiffness that that gives me. You can also adjust the stiffness through the constraints as well, so it's not that big of a deal. Now let's name this spring top front left, spring top front right. This is just to keep track of everything. Then we're gonna want spring A, spring arm left, spring arm right, and yeah. So, yep. Name those spring arm. I didn't even name this one right. I just put, or I named it right. I didn't just put R. Okay, so now let's add attachments. This here is essentially one of the centers of the constraints. And you're going to want a plugin which is called Set Attachment, and I will put a link to it in the description because very important. It is very, very important. Except every time you select it, you need to choose your select tool. So now it's up to you which side you put the spring in. Just remember for later, in case you ever want to make the springs configurable. Okay. So spring top, front, left. So now we select the spring, select the attachment. Now we come down here and select the attachment. The settings on the attachments for the springs don't matter. I think they're higher up on that one. Yeah, they're definitely, I think they're one higher. Hang on. There we go. That looks more right. Alright, yeah. That should be a little softer. I was going to say it looked a little too stiff. Yeah, but so the settings on the attachments for the spring don't really matter unless you want to move around where they attach. For instance, let's attach that. Come down here and attach that. So this attachment up here is, see, the axis stuff and the secondary axis, that doesn't really matter. The rotation, that kind of connects to those, doesn't really matter. The position, however, you can mess with. Like, let's say you want to move the suspension up 0.5. Want to move it forward 1, backward 1/2. Want to move it left or right, you can. These are just sort of here to help you move them around, mostly for the springs. Now, the axis and stuff is very important whenever it comes to the hinges, but those will come along later. Oh, also, something I forgot about. Go under settings, physics, yes, ignore that message, and then are constraints shown? Check that box, because that will show you all these lines and the springs and stuff in Studio, just to sort of help with I just realized something. Anyway, just sort of helping with seeing where everything is. Alright, now what we're going to need is to make the caster blocks. Well, at least that's what they're called in RC cars. So, we're going to have to come over here. Well, I guess they're kind of caster blocks. They're like slightly different. Actually, let's make the hinges first for these. Alright, so put an attachment here. Put in an attachment here. arm AT right, arm AT left. Did I do yeah, I did do two T's there. That's just to, again, keep things nice and tidy. Come here, and this is going to possibly need, it depends if you want to make the point of where these arms pivot right here between these two parts, then you will only need one attachment in this part. But if you want to make them move like in their individual, like this one will rotate from the center of there, this one will rotate from the center of there, it doesn't really make a big difference. Then you just need to put two attachments in here, and we will, I'm going to do that because you only have to move these attachments. You don't have to move the attachments that are in here doing it this way. So now what we're going to need to do is look under here, and now what we are going to need to do alright, let's go in. Roblox, why are you so touchy? Oh, shift actually slows it down. I feel like it never used to do that before, because I feel like I remember trying that. Alright. 0.5. So let me explain something. Hinges in Roblox. Let me move this thing outside of here. So, hinges in Roblox rotate around that axis, that little line going through that yellow cone. They rotate around that. So these thus will already move the right way because these are supposed to go up that way or down that way. So I don't need to worry about messing around with the axis on this one. However, whenever it comes to the wheels, we're going to need to do some messing around. So 1.5, that should put it in the center. No, it doesn't. Oh, no, it'd be 2. There, that's the center. Then we're going to need to move it over 0.5. There we go. So now this one will be 2 and negative 0.5. And as you can see by the little orange piece sticking out, that's right in the middle. And if I select the A arm left, the attachments are identical. They're in the exact same spot, and that's what you want, because that means when you unpause the game, when you press play, those parts won't move. They'll stay exactly where they are. Like, otherwise, if I were to move it like that... Oh, oops, I need the the constraint first. Hang on. So let's put the rod constraint, or not rod constraint, hinge constraint. Hinge constraints in here. Now this. Alright, select this constraint. Select that attach. Whoops. I think I done goofed. Select constraint. Select attachment. Okay, there we go. Now we're good. Alright, so come back down here. Ah! Such a pain. Select constraint. Select attachment. Come in here. Find the attachment that has the orange thing sticking out from that side. And then select attachment 1. Alright, so now if I pull this down, you'll see that this part is going to move to that part whenever I press play. Or run. You see? No, they move together, but it wasn't made to... Yeah, okay. But you saw it move towards it. Now if I press play and I at least come into here. Can collide. Run. As you can see, they rotate in the wrong direction. No, they fell off. Why'd they fall off? Oh, never mind. Only one of them fell off. Because I only put the constraint on the one. Alright, that's why. There, select attachment, and then select the attachment that goes on that side. There we go. Now if I press run, both of them move the same. And they're both attached, which is kind of hard to see right now because they're kind of going through each other. And because the springs aren't springs yet, because their stiffness and stuff are set to 0. But we're not done yet, so that's okay. Unless, of course, you want to start tuning your springs. But there's actually no point to doing that. Whew! So now, we're going to need left, I'm going to name this left cast ATT left caster adjustment or attachment there, then right caster attachment. Actually, I think I'm going to name this one 0 and then this one over here 0. And I'm going to name the one that actually goes onto the caster, which will be this one, caster blocks. I'm going to name these ones caster attach 1. So now here we can do this any different way. Now I'm going to change the name to part, and that will be where the wheel attaches, unless you want your wheel to attach straight on. But again, you can adjust that whichever way you want. And then this is where the camber attaches to. And it doesn't matter, you can have the camber attached here, you can have the camber attached here, you can even have the camber attached on here, but that makes it even touchier, so I recommend putting it further up. Alright, now come over here, add attachment. Add an attachment. Now we're going to need to look and make sure these should already be pointing the right direction, considering they were on the other side, and yes they are, because the caster block will need to be rotating that way and that way. Actually, it's not called an caster block. Okay. Actually, no, that is a caster block. I was gonna say it was an axle carrier, but it's an axle carrier. Yeah, no, because axle carriers don't normally have adjustable toe, and they're not used. Yeah, it's a alright, because normal caster blocks, if you were to look at them, it'd be more like that, and then this part in here moves obviously with the wheels as they turn, but since in here it's just sort of easier to keep them compact, and as long as they're on no collide, I can put another part in here which will be that little spinny thing, which as you can see is that part. Actually it's 3 parts, so yeah, that's how it spins. There's that. Now I just realized, does that connect to the center? Oh, it does. That could be a center for, or an area where I actually have gotten some problems on that car, but that's okay. Now just attach the hinge and continue on. Alright, so obviously you can just do this on the other side. I don't need to show you. Wait, where did I put 2 hinges in. I'll put the hinge up here. Again, select constraint, select the first attachment, make sure it's on that part. Come down here, go under, select that, make sure it's the right attachment. It is. See, now there's a line there, meaning that they'll move, and you're good. And I'll move on to the next one over here. So a little tip I feel like sharing this video is if you copy constraints or clone, so Control D if you're on a PC, Command D if you're on a Mac, that clones the parts into the same exact spot. The constraints will actually move with your cloned version as if it was like the other one. So see, I did that. These parts I don't have to adjust them at all to make sure that they would work in their new area, so I just need to change the names. Right caster and right caster attachment. So just a quick little tip. Alright, so on to the next part. We're going to be attaching the right. This is the left. Left. Let's see. I don't really know what this would be. Left. T. Left turn point. Yeah, I'll call it that. Left turn point 0, left turn point 1. I didn't name stuff the first time I did it, and it's just a pile of parts whenever you look at it later, so this trust me, it helps. Especially if you want to make these configurable from like a script or something. A UI, right there. I had to go through and find each camber part, and it was a pain. It was a pain. Major pain. Major pain. Alright, now we come down here. What was that? Oh yeah. Right turn. Did I name it axle? Left turn point. Point 0, then, oh, yeah, I'll replicate it over there again later. Alright, so now, these three are connected. This one right here is steering link, this would be left steering link 1. We'll add steering link 0 in a second. And there's only going to be one steering link because the steering link moves independently of these. Or it moves together for both sides, but obviously there's got to be a right actual link on the outside of the car. So now we're going to come through here, put an attachment, another attach. Oh, whoops. I tried to put an attachment nowhere. So we need left turn point 0, left turn point. I only call the left turn 1. Left turn point 1. And now we can connect these together. Except for one thing. If we look at this attachment, this piece, where's it at? This piece doesn't need to turn like that. This piece needs to turn that way, which means that cone in there needs to be sticking up. So now to make that stick up, come into axis and just sort of move these around until it's pointing up. So 0, 1. I think I could see it sticking through the top a little bit. Yep, that's the right way. So now we're going to want to come here, make sure this says 0, 1. Now make sure the main part of the cone is sticking up and look for where that little orange piece is, because the game is going to try and align those orange pieces. And I saw it for a split second there. Yeah, it's going the same way. This one's going this way, and this orange piece is going this way. And yeah, this is probably going to take me about 6 episodes to finish, 6 tutorial episodes in order to finish building this car. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. And next time we're going to go through, finish up the front, suspension, connect the steering, the wheels, and yeah. Bye.